Session is on reverse percentages. So we've been alternating these bite-sized sessions this morning between English and maths, and some of you done both of them, or just the maths ones, or just English ones. And so it's great to have you. The idea of these bite-sized sessions are sort of short, sharp sessions on some of the key topics that come up. And reverse percentage is one of those, particularly. Percentages is a big factor in maths generally, but certainly in functional skills. And actually, most of us use percentages every day. We go to the shop and we see there's so much percent off something, or we've got to work out. You might see your tax return. Some people have had to do recently, and they have percentages in. But reverse percentages is a specific aspect of percentages that's maybe a little bit more difficult, some people find. And hopefully the point of this session is to try and break it down for you. Quite often you do get questions of these in the test, which is very good to see. And actually, again, just like all functional skills, it should be useful for your everyday life, your work, your studies, and those kind of things. And hopefully this will be. So what I'm going to try and go through in this session, hopefully, is to recognise what we mean by reverse percentages. What are the questions that involve reverse percentages? We're going to work out an original amount after a percentage increase or decrease. Now that will make sense when we go through it, and at the end, hopefully, and I'll give you a chance to practice reverse percentage questions. So useful to have a pen and paper if you've got one. Also useful to have a calculator if you've got one on your phone, maybe. If you've got that handy, that'd be useful. As you probably all know, for your functional skills test, there is part of the test where you can use a calculator and part where you can't. Reverse percentages questions could come up in either of those, but today I'm happy for you to use your calculator. Yeah, in future you might want to try some without calculator as well, see how you get on. So I'm going to ask you two questions, and if you share your answers in the chat. First of all, I'm going to say, how confident do you feel about percentages generally? So not talking about reverse percentages. Generally, how are you if you had to work out what percentage of something, you need 20% of a group of something, would you be able to work that out? How confident do you feel? 1 being not confident, 10 is being the most confident. Just put your answer in the chat if you're happy to share generally how you feel. Some higher numbers there, a couple of lower ones as well. Very specific for Mucci at 7.5, that's good. Okay, good, it's quite a range and a varied there. So what about this thing called reverse percentages? How confident do you feel about that? Are you aware that it's different percentages? Are you aware didn't know there was any difference at all, never heard of it? How do you feel 1 to 10 for reverse percentages? I'd say the scores there potentially, probably generally a bit lower. So I'm not going to go through, that's great, really useful. Thank you everybody for sharing. I'm not going to go through specific percentages, how to work them out today, because a lot of you say in the high there, and obviously we want to talk specifically about reverse percentages. So if you're going through this and you think, well, you understand this, but actually need to go back to the main percentages, there's lots of support from the other tutors and Skills Forward and things like that you know. I'm not going to necessarily touch on that now. I am going to specifically look at reverse percentages. But I do want to highlight, first of all, what we mean. So there's with percentages, and actually it's the same with a number of things in maths, particularly things like fractions and definitely percentages. There are lots of questions that are very similar, but you do slightly different things for each one. So if you like the standard, the normal, in inverted commas, questions on percentages, might be a percentage using figures. So it tells you that a factory has 3,200 employees and 280 of them managers. You want to know what percentage is that. So basically you need to work out what is 280 as a percentage out of 3,200. And as I say, I'm not going to go through that today, but that's a common kind of question. The other kind of question is the other way around, where they give you a figure and you've got to use the percentage. So in this case, it's a car park. There's 20% of the cars are red, and there are 150 cars in total. So you basically need to work out there what is 20% of 150. And there are lots of different ways of working out percentage, and so whatever way you use is absolutely fine. So either you're given a figure and you've got to work out what is that as a percentage, or you're given a percentage and said what is that as a figure. The other type, similar to those, is things increase or decrease. So a customer orders something from a garage, a tyre, and it costs $85.99. They add on 8% to cost to fit it. So what's the total? So you need to work out what is 8% of that figure and add it onto that to give you a total. Or there could be a discount, saying they're running a discount of 12.5% off, and the cost, the jigsaw normally $12.99. So how much is it now? So you've got to work out what is 12.5% of $12.99 and take that off $12.99. So I said they're more standard for percentage. I'm glossing over them because that's not what we're covering today. But if you do need any support on those, then we're all here to help you. And you can have these questions and have a go through them afterwards if you like. What I do want to talk about, though, as I say, is this other type of question, which are known as reverse percentages. It's not going to say in the test, here's a reverse percentage question. So you need to get used to looking at the style of question and realizing it's something a bit different. And the key difference with reverse percentages is that you're you need to work out what was the original amount. So those previous questions, you're given a scenario and you've got to work out a figure, maybe a figure or a percentage. In this case, they will give you a figure and you need to say, well, what's happened before that? So you're actually starting with the answer, if you like. So you'd be given a figure, which is whatever percent, either higher or lower than an original figure, and you need to now work out what that original figure is, hence it being called reverse, because you're actually given the answer at the start. Previously, you're given all the information, you've got to find the answer. The reverse percentages, you're given the answer, and you need to find that information. So we'll work through a couple of examples. I'll work them through them on screen, and then after that, I've got some examples for you to try as well. So work through them with me as you wish, but I will give you some ones afterwards. So the first example I'm going to give you is where we've got a higher figure. So in this example, you purchase something, and I've particularly put that vague because it doesn't really matter what you're purchasing, but you purchase something that includes 20% VAT, and the cost is £45. And how much was it originally? Well, you can see straight away there that I've mentioned that we have the higher figure because the purchase includes 20% VAT. So it's the price of it originally and 20% VAT. So we know the figure we've got is higher. So let's say we bought, and we know it's £45. Difficult to write on here, but hopefully you can see that. So £45, and what that is the thing we bought. Let's say it was a t-shirt. Is that going to be a picture of a t-shirt? That's close enough, isn't it? And we know we're also paying VAT. So what we've bought is a t-shirt and we've paid the VAT. We know the VAT is 20%. And the t-shirt must be the original cost. So the t-shirt is actually 100% of the original cost, because that's what we need to work out. So we need to know how much is that t-shirt worth and how much VAT did we pay. So if we look there, we've got two things that we've bought. We've bought a t-shirt 100% and VAT at 20%. So we're actually paying 120% of the price that we want. So our £45 is actually 120%. It's not 100% because it's 100% plus the VAT. So our £45 figure is 120%. Let's erase that. So if we know that £45, I'll take the pound sign out for now, equals 120%. The easiest way to work this out is to work out what is 1% worth. So if we know 45% is 120%, can anybody tell me in the chat window how they would work out what 1% would be? We know £45 is 120%, so how could we work out the price of 1%? I'll give him a couple minutes to admin in the chat. Great, Heather. Agnieszka. Actually, I've read that again. Correct, but the wrong way around. So if we know that £45 is 120%, what we want to do is we want to split our 45 into 120 bits. But to split things up, divide. So if we do 45 divided by 120, if you've got a calculator, I'll let you do that. I've cheated and written the answer down already. And if you've got a calculator, you should be seeing that that is 0.375. So we now know that 1% of our price is 0.375. The question was how much was I think this says the t-shirt, how much was it originally before the VAT? Well, originally, obviously, the cost was 100%. So if 1% is 0.375, to get 100%, all we need to do is times that by 100, which will give us 37.5. It's not percent, sorry. I can't let them do very easy on this one. Just erase it. There we go. So we know that our original price was £37.50, 0 on the end. You say you got £36, that might be a rounding up or rounding down. What I would always suggest with any maths, but certainly with percentages, don't round up or round down till the end. And maybe use your calculator to round it or something like that. Don't round to the end. So I've written that on there, but just to show you, if I erase it all. So we know that £45 is 120% of the original price because it's the original price and the 20% VAT. If we do 45 divided by 120, that gives us a figure, which is our figure for 1%. And so if 1% equals 0.375, 100% must be multiplied by 100, which is £37.50, and therefore that's our original price. Okay, I hope that made sense, but I'll give another example and might make sense again. This time, though, we're going to have a lower figure. So we purchased something, and again, doesn't really matter what it is, but we purchased something, And this time it's oops, my pen's gone. Oh, that's not what I wanted. There we go. So let's put my pen back on the screen. So this time our figure is discounted by 30% and our new price is £161. So we know if we think of, let's think of it like a pie chart, is our whole thing. We've taken off 30%. So about that, no, more than that. With the screens, you can't erase it very easily. Okay, so we've taken off this much, which means that we've got this proportion left. And if you think the total thing is 100%, and we've discounted 30%, you appreciate we're now on 70%. So in this case, our figure of £161 is actually 70% of the original price. Let's go back and erase these things here. Just a bit more space. So we know £161 is 70%. And following the method that we did previously, let's work out 1%. So if you follow what we did before, all we need to do is 161, and we divide that by 70. And again, if you've got a calculator, I'll give you a second to do that. I was meant to say divided by a symbol, but there we go. And if you've done it already, I can tell you that figure is 2.3. And this is our 1% figure because it's divided by 70. So we split our total price, 161, into 70 bits. So each of our bits, each of our 1% equals 2.3. And as we did previously, if we want 100%, which is our original price, all we do is multiply that by 100. And that will give us £230, which is our original figure. And we know that it's more than the 161, so we know we've got the right price. We've gone up the price, and that's our original figure. So again, having worked through it there, let me just talk through it line by line. So we know that 161% is £161 is 70% of the original price, because our original price is discounted by 30%. That leaves us with 70%. If that's 70%, so we divide it by 70, that will give us a figure of 2.3, which is our 1% figure. So every 1%, every one bit is worth 2.3. We're actually talking money, so it's actually £2.30, but let's leave it at 2.3 for now. So if 2.3 is our 1% figure, to get 100%, all we do is multiply it by 100, which gives us a figure of £230, which is our original price. So the first thing we need to do is, I'm just going to skip forward a couple of slides. Bear with me a moment. Down with the answers. There we go. So what we need to do is first we'll work out what percentage we have. Is it higher or lower? We divide that figure by the percentage that we've got, and we multiply it by 100 to get our 100% figure. So if I go back up a little bit, if you'll let me. There we go. So let's practice. And what I'll do is I'll give you some time to do this. So a family sell their house for less than they wanted. The buyer took off 9% and paid that amount, £243,880. And the question wants to know how much was the original asking price. We can see straight away it's a reverse percentage question because it tells us this is what they've paid and we want to know the original price. So we know it's a reverse way around of doing things. The figure given there, £243,880. Can you tell me, is that lower than the original price or higher than the original price? Looking at the question, it's not a trick question. So do you think that figure, is that lower or higher? Are we given the lower or higher price? Yep, spot on. Lots of people getting lower. Not a trick question, but it says they took off 9%. So therefore, we know we've got the lowest figure, the lower figure. So actually, we know our answer is going to be above 243,880. And again, that's a more complicated number than 52, for example. But actually, it doesn't matter how complicated the number with maths. We still do exactly the same maths. It just takes us a little bit longer and a few more digits to type into the calculator. Louise has already jumped the gun, which is brilliant. Good to see, Louise. My next question is going to be, what percentage of the total is 243,880? What is that as a percentage of the original price? Can anybody tell me? No, you're quite right, Louise. Absolutely fine to jump the gun. And don't just copy Louise. So our original price, we need to work out. So 243,880 was 9% less than the original price. I guess has already worked out the answer. Very good. So we take off the 9% from 100. So our 243,880 figure is 91% of the original price. The next question is then, how can we work out what 1% is? I see people have already jumped in, which is really good. Not a criticism, but I'm really happy that you have. So I'll jump to this. So if that figure is 91%, to work out 1%, all we do is take that figure and divide it by 91, which gives us a figure of 2,680. And if we know that 2,680 is our 1% figure, I think of it as 1 bit, and we want 100%, we want the original price, so we need 100 of those bits. All we do is multiply it by 100, which gives us an original figure of £268,000. And I can see a number of people have got that in the answers already. Yeah, brilliant. Fantastic. We usually got that correct, divided by 91. So we worked out we had a lower figure because they took 9% off. So, but we know that because they've taken 9% off, 100% is out of 100, so we know they've got 91%. We divided the figure they've given us by that 91%, which gives us a 1% figure, and that's the key. And actually, I did say I skipped over normal percentage, but I would say this is always key for percentage. If you can work out what 1% is, you can work out any figure. So if you need to know what 73.8% is, well, once you've got 1%, you just times by 78.3. If you need to know 700% for some weird reason of profit, again, once you've got 1%, you can do it. So getting 1%, when you're working with percentage, if you can find out what your 1% figure is, you can do anything with percentage. So in this case, we know our 1% figure is 2,680. And then we just type, we want the original price, which is obviously 100%. So we multiply that. One more practice before we finish. Similar kind of example. Sally invests some money in some shares, and after 5 years, she sells them for £7,200, making a profit of 25%. And we want to know how much did she originally spend on shares. So the figure we've got here, hopefully you can recognise, is that we've got the highest figure because she's got a profit of 25%. So we've got the original amount that she invested and including a profit of 125%. So can any tell me what percentage is £7,200 compared to the original? What percentage is that? Answers coming through. Excellent, everybody. It is indeed. It's the £100 that the 100%, sorry, that she started with, added to the 25% profit, which gives us a figure of 125%. So if we know that 7,200 is 125% because it's our original money and our bonus on top, how can we work out 1%? We know that 7,200 is 125%. We want to split that into 1% chunks. So all we do is we take our figure and divide by that 125. Brilliant, few people got that, which gives us a figure of 57.6. And once again, we now know what our 1% figure is. So our original price is obviously going to be 100% because that's what we started with. So 57.6 is our 1% figure. All we do is multiply that by 100, which gives us a figure of 5,670. One thing I'll say, again, this is relevant for every maths, but looking at this question, we've got the answer 5,760, and we know that the sale and the 25% was 7,200. So without doing any maths, if we compare between these two figures, that looks about right. 5,760 add about 25%. It's probably going to be 7,000 something. So we know that's about right. So we can do a sense check, as you call it. Just say, does our figure make sense? If we'd worked out our original price was £3.50, then obviously that's going to be wrong. If we worked out our original price was 27,000, again, that would obviously be wrong. But we can look at that and go, that's about right. And actually, if we wanted to, we can now work it out the opposite way. So we could take 5,760, work out what is 25% on and add it up, and it would come to 72,000. I promise you that. But what we're doing for reverse percentage, so remember, reverse percentage is when you've got a new figure, your final figure, and you've got to calculate the original amount. So the first thing to do is work out what percentage you have. Is it above 100 or below 100? You can then divide the figure they've given you by that percentage. In that case, one we just done was 125. Previous one was 91%, and so on. And once we've got that 1% figure, we simply multiply it by 100 to get our original figure. Quite a lot there, but hopefully there's step-by-step help, and again, any information you need is good. What I wanted to go through was that you would recognise questions that involve reverse percentages, and the key thing to look at is they've given you the final figure and you need to work out the original. That straight away should sing the alarm bell saying, right, this is a reverse percentage. You need to work out whether it's an increase or a decrease. Is the figure you've got, is it higher than you would have started with or lower than you would have started with? Because that affects the calculation you do. And then obviously you've gone on and practiced reverse percentage questions there. There are lots of the reverse percentages. As we've said in previous sessions, if you use Skills Forward, there's questions on this topic on there. You could Google reverse percentages and you'll get 1,000,001 results with questions, which you can try. And your tutor, myself, Asia, Eamon, or Sam, if you want to have any extra questions, then just contact any of us and your tutor will help you. And we may have some more questions we can send to you as well. And those questions on here you can work out. Actually, you could do any questions because these are just random questions with figures put in. So you could give yourself some random figures and go and work them out yourself. So there should be no limit to you doing the questions. So it is only a short session, but I'd like to ask you out of 10 in the chat box, could you put a score of 1 to 10, how you feel specifically about reverse percentages? If you're prepared to share, don't worry if you don't want to. Great, some questions, and you know what they are, which is always a good start to it, so that's really good. If you're feeling now, so hopefully if you're feeling after that, you're thinking, I know a bit more about it. If actually you're thinking, that's really confusing, I know even less now, which is perfectly valid if you are, reach out to us again, reach out to your functional skills tutor and we can go through it maybe in a different way or one-to-one, or maybe answer some questions. Or I know for some of you said at the start that maybe percentage generally wasn't a great area for you. So actually maybe we need to take a step back and look at percentages before we look again at reverse percentages. But if you are unsure, please just reach out. I will stay on the call for a little while now if there's any specific questions, but I would suggest reach out to your tutor if you're not sure and they'll be able to help you.